Greetings and welcome to the Introduction to Astronomy. In this week's exploration of the solar system, we are going to talk about the Cassini-Huygens probe and what it helped us better understand about our solar system. So, what is Cassini-Huygens? Well, it is actually one probe with two parts, and it was launched in October of 1997. Its mission was going to be to study the planet Saturn and its system. Now, in order to get to Saturn, it didn't take a direct route, and that is what we often use in order to travel through the solar system. It is much easier and less fuel intensive to take an indirect route. And in this case, it used gravitational assists by flying by the Earth, flying in closer to the Sun to fly by Venus, and then on its way out, it passed by Jupiter as well to give it a boost to help it head towards Saturn. And again, that saves on fuel. You don't have to get it accelerated up to high speeds. You can use the gravitational fields of other planets to be able to get it moving. Now, the purpose of the probe was, first of all, to become the first craft to orbit Saturn and to study the planet itself as well as its rings and moons. And finally, the Huygens lander would land on Titan and be the first landing on a moon other than our own within the solar system. So what did we find out from the Cassini spacecraft? Well, it was there for a decade, and we found out a lot. But we're only going to talk a little bit about a few of the things that we're seeing here. So one of the things was to send radio signals through the rings. So it went behind and studied the ring particles, looking at their size and distribution. And you can see up above here is the visible light image. And down below, we get what is modeled from the radio signals that traveled through the rings, so helping us to model and better understand the rings of Saturn. Now, other things that we looked at was the polar hexagon, which had been discovered earlier and is an unusual feature around the pole of Saturn where this hexagonal shape takes place. And one of the things that was found is that it actually changes color. Now, we didn't notice that at first with the polar hexagon simply because it was detected during a flyby, so we only saw it during one season. Now, Cassini was there for over a decade, so it was able to see things as they change, and perhaps these are seasonal changes that occur when it gets more or less sunlight. It also studied storms in the atmosphere. So we can see that, and here we're looking at the Great Storm of 2010, which was observed by Cassini, which was in orbit at this point, and was able to really give us up-close studies of some of these big storms that occur. Now, the big storm in Saturn, we can see, because of its rapid rotation, may get stretched out and cover a long stretch of the planet and its atmosphere, so very different to storms that we're used to seeing here on Earth. And then finally, we want to mention the Huygens lander, which landed on Titan and did last there for a short period of time, and landing on the moon, a first landing on a moon in our solar system, again, other than our own moon. And one of the things that it detected was methane on the surface, and not just methane as a gas, but methane as a liquid in terms of a lake. And in fact, multiple lakes, but here's one of them that's shown. And on the left, we see the lake on the moon Titan. On the right, we see Lake Superior, one of the Great Lakes between Canada and the United States, and that is comparable in size. So we get an idea of how big this lake of methane is. Now, Titan is a lot colder than Earth, so it can't have liquid water. The water would all freeze, but methane could be a liquid and is a liquid at these temperatures. Now, as its mission came to an end in September 2017, it was directed into some orbits to be able to study some of the inner portions of the ring, and then finally disposed of by flying into Saturn and being crushed by its atmosphere as it flew deeper and deeper in the planet. So the Cassini is now a part of Saturn, its crushed remnants still somewhere within the massive planet. So let's go ahead and finish up with our summary. And what we've looked at today is that the Cassini-Huygens probe was launched to study Saturn, as well as its rings and moons. It studied the atmosphere of Saturn, including storms that we looked at. And the Huygens lander landed on the surface of the large moon Titan, giving us the first direct images of its surface because it is always shrouded in clouds. So that concludes this discussion of the Cassini-Huygens probe to Saturn. We'll be back again next week for another exploration of the solar system video. So until then, have a great day, everyone, and I will see you in class.